Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yasodhanandana Prasajanaranjana Yasodhanandana Prasajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda, Radha Goloka Nanda, Radha Goloka Nanda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pavakacharya Sutarasta Shishimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pavakacharya Asasata Shishimad. His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Sridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopanath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavana Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Shri Gokul Dham Ki Jai. Shri Dwarka Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Shri Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Shri Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Shri Mati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai. All glories to the Samad devotees. All glories to the Samad devotees. All glories to the Samad devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Goloka Nanda Ki Jai. So today we are continuing with our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we have been studying actually chapter 22, and on Tuesday is the end of the Katyayana Vrata. So somehow or other this year our reading of the Bhagavatam has been very much in line with the calendar. So before reading the verse, I just wanted to mention briefly, if it's anyone that hasn't been following, we had read about Krishna stealing the garments of the gopis, and we have finished that pastime, and now we're going to be transitioning into chapter 23, will be where Krishna gives mercy to the wives of the Yajnik Brahmins. So before going on to the verse, I just want to do a very quick summary because it was such an important chapter. And here in this chapter we see that the young unmarried girls who had become attracted to Krishna over time, it's explained it was the mood of Purvarag. They were desiring to have Krishna as their husband, and so they had taken a very strict sankalpa, and they had followed the particular rituals to obtain Krishna by worshipping the goddess Katyayani. But it was explained to us that they weren't worshipping Durga of this world, but actually they were taking shelter of the internal potency. And Krishna knew their desire. He knew that they wanted to be his wives. And so Krishna, knowing the desire of his devotees, he creates an amazing pastime, which we'll see. He's going from one forest to another, creating different pastimes. And this is when Krishna comes in this world, he is engaging in loving reciprocation with his devotees, and at the same time, there's many lessons for us. So we learned about unalloyed, pure devotional service in the pastime of Krishna stealing the gopis' garments. And then Srila Bhakti Krishna Goswami Gurudev, he spoke a lot when the topic came up of the trees. He spoke a lot of the importance of compassion and what is real welfare work for the benefit of others. So that was also a topic that was brought up, was the importance of humility, tolerance, compassion, and caring for others. So now we're going to go on to text 36, and we'll continue. And if there's time, I'm going to complete the chapter. We'll see how the time goes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Iti Pravala Stabaka. Iti pravala stabaka pala pushpa dalokarai pala pushpa dalokari tarunam nama shakanam tarunam nama shakanam majato yamunam gataha iti pravala stabaka pala pushpa dalokatari tarunam nama shakanam majato yamunam gataha. Devotees, iti pravala stabaka alapushpa dalokarai tarunam nama shakanam majato yamuna gataha iti pravala stabaka pala pushpa dalokarai tarunam nama shakanam majato yamuna gataha iti pravala stabaka pala pushpa dalokarai tarunam nama shakanam majato yamunam gataha iti. Thus speaking, pravala of new branches, stabaka by the clusters, pala of fruit, pushpa flowers, dala and leaves, ukarai by the abundance, tarunam of the trees, namra bowed down, shakanam whose branches, majataha from within the mist, yamunam the Yamuna river, gataha he came upon. Translation: thus moving among the trees whose branches were bent low by their abundance of twigs, fruits, flowers, and leaves, Lord Krishna came to the Yamuna river. So I'm going to, before reading the commentaries, I'm going to read a few more verses because they're all very interrelated, and there's no purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, but there are some commentaries. So I'm going to read text 37. Tatragaha payatipaha sumishta stala shivaha taddo nirpa swayam gopa kaman swadu papur jalam. Translation: the cowherd boys let the cows drink the clear, cool, and wholesome water of the Yamuna. O King Parikshit, the cowherd boys themselves also drank that sweet water to their full satisfaction. So before reading the last verse, which does have a purport, I'm also going to read the commentaries and then continue on. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Shrimati Hridayananda Goswami Iti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavade Pashtatadishtatadine. Om Ganati Madandasya Gana Gana Shalakaya Chaksu Militanyana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the assembled devotees here, and especially unto those that are my seniors, and pray that I can speak something. Oops, Krishna. That would be very inspiring and not commit offenses by dropping the Bhagavatam. It's a little bit awkward on his seat, kind of. So I guess I'll have to do like Dayavir does, where you put a table in front. No, I'm good. It just, next time I'll put a table so it's easier to maneuver. So I'm going to begin here by reading from Sanatana Goswami's commentary, because he actually gives a very interesting commentary. Now, one thing I did want to mention is that when I read in the Krishna book, Prabhupada ends this chapter where there's a Katyayana Vrat, and then the boys are going off into the forest afterwards. But then when you read it in the Bhagavatam with the commentaries, and it was brought the other day that it was warm out, where the Katyayana Vrat was during the winter, and now Krishna and Balaram, they're taking the long way because they want to be underneath the trees where there's shade. Thus moving among the trees whose branches were bent low by their abundance of twigs, flowers, bunches, fruits, flowers, and leaves, Krishna came to the Yamuna River by a middle road. Commentary. Stavaka means bunches of flowers and leaves. Majatama means on a middle road, since it was sheltered from the sun. He went a long way in this manner. Because of this, later it is mentioned that they became hungry. Since they could have relieved their hunger from fruits, the trees in the road had inedible fruits like those of the Ashoka tree. So here it's saying how they were walking along in the forest, and they took a very long way, because in the long way there were many trees, and those trees had many fruits and branches and flowers, and so it was offering shade. It was protecting them from the sun. And because they took a longer way, they were very hungry. So the point is brought up in the commentaries, like why should they be hungry? You know, they're Krishna's friend. How can they have hunger or thirst? And that will be explained when we get to the next verses. I'll explain that. But now we see that these trees are offering shelter to Krishna. But Krishna, he's roaming in the forest of Vrindavan, which is Krishna's playground. It's just a big playground for Krishna's friends. And every day there's adventures. And it's explained that we only have a small part of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. We only have a small part of the Srimad Bhagavatam. There's actually so many pastimes of Krishna that we haven't even heard about. But we're given pastimes that not only attract us to Krishna and his abode and inspire us in our own devotional life, and also that there are many, many lessons for us. So when we hear these pastimes, we hear with oral reception from Krishna's pure devotees, and we become purified and we become attracted to that world. It's like a coming attraction. And also, there's lessons that we can apply in our own life. So then here, this is to text 37, the commentary by Sanatana Goswami. The cowherd boys let the cows drink the clear, cool, and wholesome water of the Yamuna, O King Parikshit. The cowherd boys themselves also drank that sweet water to their full satisfaction. So this is such a beautiful vision. You know, Krishna is there with the cows. There's thousands and thousands of cows. And all these cows are coming from all different directions, especially because Krishna is there. And they're going and they're drinking from the Yamuna. And the Yamuna is always sweet. And the Yamuna is coming, as we know, when Krishna was coming to do his pastimes here, and he requested Srimati Radharani to come. She didn't want to come, and then she agreed to come only if Govardhan and the Yamuna would come. Commentary. The Yamuna water was naturally sweet, and in Vrindavan became most sweet, swadu. So we know we sing that song about Krishna Madhuram. Everything about Krishna is sweet, and there it explains his Yamuna is also sweet. It gave happiness or auspiciousness, Shivaha. The boys drank after the cows because they considered the comfort of the cows over their own comfort, Swayam, or Swayam Bhagavam Swayam, and the cowherd drank. So this is very important also too, that we see that the cowherd boys, they had the service of taking care of the cows. It appears that Krishna was in a Vaishya, and their service was taking care of the cows. So they took their service very, very seriously, and they treated the cows with all respect. So much so that just like when a great personality comes to your house, you would want them to drink the water first. So the cowherd boys, they wanted the cows to drink the water first, that the cows should be satisfied before I'm satisfied. So this is the same mood that we see that we're learning in Krishna consciousness, that Krishna should be satisfied before I'm satisfied. Krishna should be pleased. Or they drank directly the water using their hands, not cups. There is a prohibition of not drinking water using the hands, but this rule does not apply to cowherds, Gopa. They are not subjects to rules and forbiddances, O king. As your main job is the protection of the citizens, their main job was protecting the cows, not considering personal comforts. Thus they drank later. So here, Sukadev Goswami is saying, Parikshit Maharaj, he might think, wait a minute, they're drinking from their hands. This is prohibited. Just like we know there's certain rules and regulations in deity worship or etiquette or Vaidhi Bhakti. But then there's also, beyond that, there's different circumstances. So here the circumstance is that these gopas, they're not under the same rules and regulations as the king was. And they're saying he's saying, Parikshit, their duty is to protect the cows. So here we see also when Prabhupada always speaks about the duty of the Vaishyas to protect the cows. And if the cows are exploited, there's so much disturbance within society. And it says here that your duty, O king, is protection of the citizens. So we see in Kali Yuga, the cows aren't protected and the citizens aren't protected. So what is our duty? Our duty is to give the holy name, to chant the holy name. The word Su, Mishtraha, Shitalaha, and Shiva used to indicate that the water was tasty. But again, it is mentioned Swadu in the second line. Because it was so tasty, they drank fully. Come on. So how sweet was this water of the Yamuna that it was giving so much satisfaction? Or unlimited cows came from far to the Yamuna. After wandering a long time in many places, finally the water became disturbed by their drinking. Thus, the water lost its coolness and clarity and should have lost its sweetness, but it was still sweet tasting. That was its greatness. So there were just literally thousands of cows just coming from every direction, and they'd all been wandering, and it was hot, and they were tired, and they were drinking, so there was a kind of a commotion at the river, but the Yamuna never lost her sweetness. So before going on to the next verse, since we were talking about the Yamuna River, I wanted to read Rupa Goswami's translation to the prayer to the Yamuna River, and also read about the Yamuna River. Passing the 7 seas and 7 planetary systems and breaking through the 7-fold covering of the universe, the Yamuna enters the spiritual Goloka planet and wanders here and there to serve Vrindavan by carrying water. Many greedy men will wait at a rich man's doorstep, hoping to meet him and benefit hundreds of thousands of times over. In the same way, the Yamuna flows in a very winding course, greedy to get some of the wealth of Vrindavan forest. So it's explained everything in Vrindavan goes crooked. Krishna's crooked, the gopis joke with Krishna in a crooked way, and the Yamuna is crooked. So this is from, we're going to be reading a little bit. What I'm speaking now is from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Sri Vraja Riti Chintamani, and that was from chapter 2, 41 through 42. Her pastimes with Krishna. The dark nectar current of the Yamuna picks up Lord Krishna and plunges him and his gopi friends in the dark nectar current of transcendental amorous pastimes. The dark nectar current of the Yamuna picks up Lord Krishna and, many charming aquatic creatures plunged in the nectar of love for Krishna again and again push their heads above Yamuna's waters, hoping for a glimpse of Lord Sham. On the Yamuna, a beautiful shores are jeweled staircases which are like the teeth of the goddess of beauty and which remind one of Sri Krishna. When they drink the sound of Krishna's flute, these two jeweled staircases melt with love, and the river flowing between them becomes solid and stuns with ecstasy. So we've heard about that when Krishna plays his flute, that the Yamuna stops flowing, becomes stunned. In the moonlight of the Yamuna's beaches appear to be made of camphor sand. Lord Krishna enjoyed his Rasa Leela on these beaches, with each place bearing the name of a particular pastime. So that this is from Sri Viraja Riti Chintamani, chapter 2, verse 43 through 47. So when we go to Vrindavan, if our eyes are looking through our material eyes, we won't see any of this because everything is taking place uppercut. So that's why it's so important that when we go, that we hear from devotees, from Krishna's pure devotees. And it's through our ears that we hear about the holy Dham. And if we offer respect to the holy Dham, then we can be able to take shelter. And we don't realize how potent is the holy Dham. That if we go to the holy Dham with folded hands and with prayers, that when we read about these places, it's like it spurs up a remembrance of Krishna. So instead of remembering something mundane that we've read as a child or some mundane music, we start remembering Krishna's pastimes. And although we're very far from Krishna's pastimes, it gives us that desire, that hankering that I want to become purified. So then we try to chant with greater enthusiasm and render service. The benediction. They offer respectful obeisances to her or bathe in her waters. The Yamuna, which is like a moat of black mascara encircling Vrindavan, transforms into pure devotees, carrying Lord Krishna in their hearts. And this is chapter 2, verse 39. There are many ways we can offer our respectful obeisance to Yamuna. A good way is to pray to her. One prayer I can share is Yamuna Astakam, written by Srila Rupa Goswami. Coming from the heart of Srila Rupa Goswami, we can understand its potency. So I'm going to just read the English. Rupa Goswami requested everyone to recite these prayers with a cheerful heart. So this is the first part, and we're just, I said, doing English. May Yamuna Devi, the daughter of Suryadev, always purify me. She saves all who touch her from going to the realm of her brother Yamaraj, and enables even greatly wicked persons who see her to cross the ocean of their sinful deeds. Her attractive water charms the hearts of everyone. Yamuna Devi adorns Indra's great Kandava forest with her enchanting current, and upon her blooming lotus flowers, various birds are always dancing. Simply desiring to bathe in her pleasant, crystalline waters frees one from even the greatest of sins. May Yamuna Devi, the daughter of Suryadev, always purify me. Sprinkling a single drop of her water upon oneself destroys the reaction of most heinous crimes. She increases the flow of confidential devotional service, Raganuga Bhakti, for Nanda Nandana within one's heart, and blesses everyone who simply desires to reside on her banks. May Yamuna Devi, the daughter of Suryadev, always purify me. Yamuna Devi is so powerful that although she flows through the 7 oceans which surround the earth's 7 islands, she never merges with them. Being witness to many of Sri Mukunda's wonderful pastimes, she manifests these pastimes in the hearts of those who take shelter of her. Her dark shimmering beauty defeats the splendor of precious blue sapphires. May Yamuna Devi, the daughter of Suryadev, always purify me. Ornamented with supremely enchanting land of Mathura Mandala, Yamuna Devi skillfully inspires love of Godhead, prema, in the hearts of the Vaishnavas who bathe in her. With playful waves, which are like her moving arms, she worships Panavana, Sri Krishna's lotus feet. May Yamuna Devi, the daughter of Suryadev, always purify me. Yamuna Devi's charming banks are further beautified by the fragrance from the flower of the Kadamba trees and by loving cows. She is especially delighted when Nandala's devotees assemble on her bank. May Yamuna Devi, the daughter of Suryadev, always purify me. So I'm just going to stop for 1 second here. That this prayer is like a window to the spiritual world. And that is why Srila Prabhupada also wanted the devotees to paint these different pastimes so that we'll become attracted to the beauty of the spiritual world and to be able to receive the benediction. Filled with the warbling of thousands of joyful swans, Yamuna Devi is worshipful to demigods, siddhas, kinnaras, and humans whose hearts are dedicated to the service of Sri Hari. Anyone who is touched by her gentle breezes is freed from the cycle of birth and death. May Yamuna Devi, the daughter of Suryadev, always purify me. Yamuna Devi flows through the 3 worlds known as Bhuvaswa and distributes her loving emotions. Singing her glories burns even the greatest sins to ashes. She's become fragrant by the scented ointments from the body of King Nanda's son, Sri Krishna, who enjoys to play in her waters. May Yamuna Devi, the daughter of Suryadev, always purify me. O Suryapuri Devi, O Yamuna, whose waves are very purifying, and who is surrounded by all the demigods, for those who recite with cheerful heart this prayer, please increase their bhakti for lotus-eyed Sri Krishna, who liberates all persons from their sins. Sri Rupa Goswami Stavamala. So we know that this recent pastime, the gopis were going every day, and they were bathing in the Yamuna. And there's just so many pastimes that take place around the Yamuna River. So now we're going to be headed into another pastime. And in the next pastime, in the next chapter, Krishna is looking for a way to engage the Yagnapatnis, the wives of the Yagna Brahmanas, because Krishna knows the hearts of all living entities, and he's trying to always reciprocate according to their desire. So I'm going to read the next verse. So text 38. Just so much paraphernalia. It's hard because the mask, actually. It's a little hard for me to breathe. Tasya upavane kaman charayanta pashunyapa Krishna Rama upagamya shuddha arta idam abhuvan. Then, O king, the cowherd boys began herding the animals in a leisurely way within a small forest along the Yamuna. But soon they became afflicted by hunger, and approaching Krishna and Balaram spoke as follows. Shri Jiva Goswami explains that the cowherd boys were concerned that Krishna would be hungry, and thus they feigned their own hunger so that Krishna and Balaram would make suitable arrangements to eat. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 10th canto, 22nd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Krishna Steals the Garments of the Unmarried Gopis. And I'm going to read the commentary from Sanatana Goswami on this one. So here they're saying they were hurting them very leisurely. So Sanatana Goswami gives an elaborate commentary. They were herding all the cows in the groves of Ashok trees. This will be mentioned later. This infers that the trees were without fruits. Ashoka trees have no fruit. According to the cow's will, Kaman, they herded the cows. Wandering, they developed hunger because of drinking the water and having no fruits in the trees in that forest. With a desire to eat, they were suffering, though it was not possible for them to suffer from hunger in the presence of the Lord. This happened by the will of the Lord to give mercy to the wives of the Brahmanas by begging food from them. The boys' hunger actually means the boys were afflicted by thinking that Krishna and Balaram were hungry. They came close, Upagamya, and spoke, since speaking about this from a distance would be embarrassing for them. This chapter ends abruptly in the middle of the story because Sukadev became momentarily stunned on remembering details of the present pastime, or he remained silent for a few moments in order to give understanding that this topic was confidential. This applies to other stories also. O King, Sukadev calls to Pariksha to hear attentively the pastimes being related, or the cause of repeatedly calling Pariksha was explained previously. So here, as I said previously, they were taking this long path, and it's explained that the trees, some of the commentaries say the trees had unedible fruits, and some say they didn't have fruits. Because normally when the boys went out and they were playing, they were picking fruits, they were playing with the fruits, they were taking it to their full satisfaction. But here it appears that the boys are hungry. But then it's explained, how can they be hungry in the presence of Krishna? So Krishna was enacting this desire within their heart so that this pastime would take place. And we see this happens in other pastimes. Even we can even see how, for instance, we had Gita Jayanti, like how Arjuna became bewildered. You know, he's Krishna's friend. But Krishna became bewildered, and the Bhagavad Gita was spoken for our benefit. So, as we've been speaking about a lot, whatever Krishna does is for the benefit of the devotee. And he knows the devotee's heart, and he's arranging all different circumstances accordingly. So here he knows that the wives of the Yajna Brahmanas have some desire to serve him. So we see this simultaneously taking place also with Krishna, that Krishna, he's completely absorbed in just being with his friends and the cows and being Nandanandana of Vrindavan. And then sometimes also there's like this Aishwarya that comes in, he kills demons, or sometimes so he's knowing what's going on somewhere. But Krishna is especially attracted by the love of his devotees. And in the Damodar Leela, we focus so much how he was attracted by the love of Mother Yasota and the Gopas and Gopis, older Gopis and Gopas of Vrindavan in the mood of parental. And then we've seen how Krishna had so much fun with his friends. And then we came to the Madhurya, the conjugal, with the Gopis. Now the Gopis are of the same caste as Krishna. They're cowherds. But we'll see here, the next pastime will be with the wives of the Brahmanas. And Krishna will behave differently with them than he does with the cowherd girls. So whatever Krishna does, he does appropriately according to time, place, very much to time, place, and circumstance. So here it said that Sukadev Goswami, he stopped speaking for a moment because these pastimes are so confidential. And he's saying, please listen attentively. So if these pastimes are so confidential, how can we in this very far away place be hearing them. I remember, isn't it, Gurudev, there was explained like one time, I think it was even in Gainesville, when Prabhupada came and he said, I'm very happy to be here in this very, very far away place. Can you tell us exactly what was said? Yeah. So Prabhupada was talking about the difference between Mayapur and Gainesville, Florida. So here we are in a very distant place, but by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we're also in a holy dham. And Srila Prabhupada is here, Krishna devotees are here. So we're having the opportunity through the civic succession to be able to hear about these intimate pastimes. And by hearing about them from the right source, we actually become purified. So it's very important that we focus on hearing, because what we hear manifests within our consciousness. Just like very simply we understand in Bhagavad Gita, what you're thinking about at the time of death, then it'll affect your next birth. If you're, like, I think it was in last night's class you were speaking, I'm not sure, but like if you're in a woman's body and you're very attached to your husband, then in your next life you can end up getting a man's body. And so it goes on in the cycle. So how do we break the cycle of samskara? Through the chanting of the holy name, through hearing about Krishna's pastimes, and through developing this desire to hear and hear more, and to hear properly. So this is the great gift that Srila Prabhupada has given us, was to give us, he gave us Krishna book along with the Srimad Bhagavatam, because he knew that he might not be here to finish. Okay. All right. Sorry, Gurudev. Okay. So Prabhupada gave us Krishna book, and to encourage us to focus on Krishna, to remember his pastimes, and to apply also the application in our own life. So I'm going to end now, but what do we learn from this? We learn that, one, that how important is the holy dham and the different places in the holy dham, and even if we're not able to go there personally, that we can meditate on these places by reading the prayers and singing the songs of the previous acharyas. We learned previously about surrender, and by singing the songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, studying the songs of Sharanagati, we can go deeper into that mood. So we have a big project ahead, and everything is based on taking shelter of the holy name and our previous acharyas and our guru, and then the path becomes very clear. So I'd like to stop here now, and I think I've been loud, but I guess it just doesn't come over the internet as well. Oh no. Glad to hear. No, it's painful for me too. So I'd like to end now. Does anyone have any comments or questions? Exactly. And everything expands. In Vrindavan, everything expands accordingly.